On Sunday, April 4th, 2021, at 2:15 p.m., Layla Dogan sat alone in a small hospital room at Medipol Hospital in Üsküdar, Istanbul. She would remember that time and date for the rest of her life. It was the moment the doctor looked at her and gently said the words that shook her world apart. "Layla," he said, holding her medical report, "we've found a malignant tumor." She didn't understand right away. The words felt heavy, slow, like they were dropping through water. Her eyes blinked, and her throat tightened. Her body felt cold, though the sun outside was bright and warm. The doctor kept talking about test results, about treatment options, about cancer. But all she could hear in her head was that word: malignant. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the chair. Her heart pounded in her chest like a drum. She nodded, pretending to understand, but her mind had already left the room. By the time she stepped out of the hospital, the streets outside had turned quiet. The usually busy area around Üsküdar was calm that evening. She walked slowly toward the ferry station, thinking about how her life had changed in a matter of minutes. The sun was setting over the Bosphorus, painting the sky in soft pink and gold, but Layla saw none of it. Her bag felt heavier than usual. Inside it was her most precious item, her Quran. She had carried it with her since childhood, a gift from her mother, and on that day, it felt like the only thing holding her together. When she arrived back at her apartment in Kadıköy, she didn't even take off her shoes. She sat on her bed, her arms wrapped around herself. The room was dim, lit by one small lamp on the desk. She looked at the Quran resting inside her bag, and with trembling hands, she pulled it out. She flipped through the pages until she found something familiar. Ayatul Kursi, the throne verse. It was a verse she had memorized as a young girl, sitting beside her mother in the warm kitchen of their childhood home. She placed her hand gently on the page and whispered, "Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence." Her voice shook, her lips trembled, but she said it again and again, until the pain in her chest eased just a little, until the tears stopped falling so fast. In the days that followed, Layla entered a new world of hospital visits, scans, and treatments. Every morning she woke up feeling the weight of fear. She would look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back. But no matter how hard it got, she didn't let go of the Quran. She kept Ayatul Kursi close. She read it before every appointment, every blood test, every injection. She whispered it under her breath while waiting for her name to be called. Her parents tried to stay strong. Her father prayed 5 times a day without fail. Her mother made fresh soup and begged her to eat. Her younger brother, Emir, sat quietly beside her every evening, sometimes scrolling through his phone, sometimes just holding her hand. She didn't speak much, but she kept reciting, and slowly, something began to change, not in her body, but in her heart. She still felt weak, still cried at night when no one was watching, but the fear didn't control her like it used to. Each time she whispered the verse, it was like she was holding onto a rope that wouldn't break. One night, in early May, the pain returned worse than ever. Around 2:30 a.m., Layla woke up in agony. She curled into herself, clutching her side. Her breaths came fast, her body trembled. She whispered, voice cracking, "Ya Allah, please help me. I can't face this alone. If you are there, protect me." She didn't sleep again that night. Later that week, she went in for another scan. The technician smiled kindly and asked if she was okay. She nodded but didn't speak. She was too busy repeating Ayatul Kursi in her heart. When her doctor finally looked at the new images, he frowned, not in concern but in confusion. "Layla," he said slowly, "the tumor, it's smaller, much smaller." She stared at him. "This is unexpected," he continued. "We'll need to run more tests, but this is a very good sign." Layla didn't know what to say. She sat down, tears filling her eyes. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Alhamdulillah." She believed in that moment that this wasn't just the medicine. It was mercy. The treatments continued. Layla lost her hair. Her skin became pale and dry. She couldn't eat much. She often felt dizzy and nauseous. There were days she couldn't get out of bed, but she never stopped reciting Ayatul Kursi. It became her strength. She whispered it during injections. She murmured it during sleepless nights. She read it while staring out the window, watching the seagulls fly across the Istanbul sky. People began to notice her calmness. Nurses smiled more when they saw her. Other patients asked her how she stayed so peaceful. One young woman, just 19, sat beside her during chemotherapy and said, "I'm so scared." Layla held her hand and said softly, "I was too, but I kept saying one verse again and again, and it helped me." She recited Ayatul Kursi with the girl, and they both cried quietly together. Layla didn't stop there. After her energy returned a little, she started visiting other patients. She brought them small gifts, scarves, snacks, handwritten prayers. She sat with them and told them her story. In August 2021, 4 months after her diagnosis, Layla went in for one last scan. She was calm. She brought her Quran, like always. She recited silently as she waited. When the doctor came in, he looked amazed. "Layla," he said, "there's nothing there, no tumor, not even a trace." Her mouth dropped open. He continued, "We've reviewed everything twice, it's gone. Completely. I can't explain it." Layla didn't speak. She just cried. She placed her hands on the cold floor of the office and whispered, "Ya Allah, you healed me, you heard me." After that, Layla's life changed forever. She recovered slowly but surely. Her hair grew back, soft and curly. Her energy returned. She smiled more often, but she didn't forget the pain. She didn't forget the fear. And she didn't forget what saved her. She started visiting hospitals not as a patient, but as a helper. She joined a small health charity in Istanbul and shared her story with women all over the city. She went to Fatih, to Beyoğlu, to small villages outside the city. She sat in hospital rooms and told others, "When you feel like giving up, hold on to Ayatul Kursi. Even if your body is tired, your heart can be strong." People cried when they heard her story. Some hugged her. Some just smiled through tears. She never asked for money. She only asked them to believe in hope and in Allah's mercy. Years passed. Layla aged, but her spirit stayed the same. She still lived in the same small apartment in Kadıköy. She still carried her Quran in her bag. She still whispered Ayatul Kursi every morning and every night. When she passed away quietly in her sleep in March 2036, at the age of 49, the news spread quickly across the city. Hundreds attended her funeral. Some knew her personally. Others had only heard her story. They came with flowers, with tears, and with prayers. People remembered her not just for surviving cancer, but for her faith, her kindness, and her unshakable belief that miracles happen for those who trust in Allah. Even now, years after her death, her story is still told. In mosques, in homes, in hospitals, people whisper the verse that saved Layla. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer. And they remember her words. Trust in Him. Hold on to His words. Miracles will come.